habitat staff on the island.
No, it was, the 15 feet deep or whatever it is. That river is barely, like at high tide, it might be 9 feet. It might be 9 feet, and it's super shallow now, and it's just full.
Ultimately, so what we would do is we'd have this functioning for a number of years, clean it out, I would guess probably about 5 times. There's a lot of watershed above here, and what we may eventually do is put another trap further up, just so that we can close this one off. And so it'll function probably for somewhere between 5 and 10 years, and then we'll sort of close it down and reopen over there, and just allow this to go back into natural vegetation, and we would replant it.
Will you refill it?
In this case, because it's so big, probably.
Yeah, I was just thinking that seems like a gaping.
It is very big.
Yeah.
And we have a big one that we would probably do that too. With smaller ones, I don't think it's as necessary.
Yeah, right.
But if you wanted to come down over here, we can look at the dam. The original stream channel is behind the dam. What we did when we excavated out the bypass pond was create this sandbag dam so that we could divert the water ultimately into the pond once it had been excavated out. So,
Can I walk across there?
oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we start building the dam as he starts to excavate. And this area here would have had a straw bale dam here, and we'd allow the water to continue down the main channel until he was completely done. So essentially what you can do in that instance is work in the dry, what they call in the dry, so you're not getting any red water into the stream while the Hymax's in there working. And then you complete the dam once he's finished and divert all of the water from the upstream into the bypass pond, and you've got a functioning system. So when you're doing the dam, what we've done here is we've notched it on the top so that when the water gets really high, it can flow over there and take the pressure off, because this is not a really, it's a little sharper turn than we would like. It's not exactly a natural meander. You try when you put a bypass pond in to mimic the natural meander as much as you possibly can, but you're restricted in many cases, and in this case we're restricted by a large steep slope on that side, and where you could build the pond and disturb the riparian vegetation as little as possible. This area where we put the pond was basically just fireweed, and there were some, it had been cut, and there was some reforestation, but the trees were not doing well. They were pine, and they were sitting in an area that was too wet, so they were essentially dying anyway. So we put the bypass pond in there, and the gradient of the stream is appropriate. You want to be in a low gradient area in order to put in a bypass pond and have it work. So it's a matter of weighing up all of the different pluses and minuses to a site. There is one area that we'd like to put one in further down, because there's another small tributary coming in that has a large sediment load in it as well, and we're not capturing that with this bypass pond. But this pond is still relatively low in the system, and it's catching a lot from upstream, and the sediment load in here was huge. And from here up to Wynn Road, which is, I'd say, probably about a kilometer of stream up, we cleared, after we had the bypass pond in, and we cleared it the next year. Um, and there was a lot of stuff in the bottom, a lot of woody debris, a lot of that check dam stuff that they'd used in the past to float down ton timber, but also just a lot of natural woody debris in there. Some alder growth coming in and choking the stream system a little bit. And all of those things are great from a habitat perspective if you have a nice cobbly, rocky, gravelly bottom. But they also trap sediment. So historically, you've got a lot of sediment inputs that you haven't managed to flush out, and all of that debris in there prevents it from flushing out, even on really intense events like we've had in the past couple of years. So the only real alternative is to take it out until you can get the sediment out in really heavily impacted sediment bottom streams. And we get a lot of fishermen criticizing us for that. And it's completely valid, because you really want to have as much woody debris in there as you possibly can. But it's what we hope is a short-term pain for long-term gain, because we will put that woody debris back in once the sediment's out. But you're not going to get rid of the sediment unless you take at least some of it out. This is what we had to do this summer, and Leighton can attest to how it's not an easy job. You have to take the dam down and move the bags over here to block this off, redivert back down the channel so you can clean this out.
Oh my, okay.
So it's
a lot of physical labor.
It's a lot of physical labor.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
How many years is he doing this? Is it like a 3 or 4 year project, or?
With this, there's a lot of kilometers of stream above. If we don't put another one further up and continue to use this one, my suspicion is that we will try to find a place further up. If we don't, this could be in as long as 10 years and cleaned out as many as 4 or 5 times before we decommission it and go on to something else. But this is like a worst case scenario. This stream is really heavily impacted with sediment, and it sounds like yours would be too.
And Megan, roughly the cost of doing something like this?
This one's big. So it takes almost 3 days to clean it out. It took almost a week to make it in the first place. The long reach excavator costs $190 an hour. So you're talking about you know, 5,000 each time.
Okay.
3, 4, 5,000, depending on the size. The traps that we do generally just take half a day to a day to clean out, and every time we clean them out, it costs somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000. But these are much larger, and but then again, we don't have to clean them out every year as well. So, and you don't have to. That doesn't include the process of my time to put in the permit application, get all of the paperwork done. The stuff like the straw and the oats and stuff isn't a big cost. The big cost is also labor. And when you've got a dam like this, the in-stream traps don't use dams. But then again, whenever you clean them out, there's really no good way of preventing red water downstream, because you're always going to have, yeah, and we do use booms at the bottom to try to prevent as much as possible from going down, but you never get it all, and that's just a reality of working with traps. That's why I prefer these, even though they're more labor intensive, because I think in the long run you have less impact on the stream by doing it this way. This is an in-stream trap. So there's no change to the stream width. It's only a deepening of the stream. And this is why with traps...
What was it say before? What did it look like? Where was it?
What it would have looked like before is it would have been exactly the same width.
Yeah.
There would have been alders on both sides here. There wouldn't have been that great big pile there.
Right.
And it would have been shallow, you know, maybe half a meter deep.
Okay.
Or so. The gradient is very low, so the stream would have been what we would call a run. There would have been no pools on it. No. The gradient you wouldn't have riffles. It would be a run system, so low gradient but shallow, which is a perfect type of location for a trap, because the water would naturally be slowing down in this area because it's not the steepness in the terrain is not there. So it would naturally be slowing down. All we did is deepen it. So again, you get the Hymac excavator in and you can deepen it, but you can only deepen it a certain degree under permit. So I think it's 3 or 4 times the width of the stream in that location is the depth that you're allowed to go down. Okay. We did what we always do above a trap or a bypass pond, is we cleared out all the alders, we cleared out all the woody debris, we allowed it to flush, and it happened that we felt we had all the historical sediment out, so we started putting woody debris back in again. And it's good habitat out there. It still needs, the canopy needs to close in again. We patch cut alders and we replaced them with Acadian tree species, you know, sugar maple, red oak, white pine, all of those in a mix, along with shrubs that are berry producing. It'll take, you know, several more years for that to mature, and so you don't have the same canopy and the stream is not as shaded as it was, but all the other elements are there now.